Today's daf is daf Ayin Hey. We are going to begin. Omer Rabba Bar Chana Omer Rabbi Yechon. Omer Rabba Bar Chana Omer Rabbi Yechon. Rabba Bar Chana says, in the name of Rabbi Yechon, any place where Rabbi Shimon Gamliel taught a halacha. In our Mishnah, halacha, Kamei said halacha is always according to him, even though it's a das yochid. Chutz, except me'orev, except for with regards to the halacha of a guarantor, if the malve made a t'nai that he can collect his choyev from either the leva or the guarantor, according to the chachamim, he collect from the guarantor's property, even if the Baal Chayv has available property. Shimon Gamliel holds that the malve can collect the choyev only from the leva. So every place the halacha is always like Shimon Gamliel, except for the halacha of Orev and B'tzaydon, and likewise the halacha is not like Shimon Gamliel with regards to the case mentioned here concerning the Maisa in Tzaydon. And similarly, the halacha is not in accordance with the opinion of Shimon Gamliel concerning the machlekes with regards to evidence in the final disagreement, where the Chachamim hold that if a person claims that he has no evidence or witnesses, and then brings evidence to Beis Din, the Chachamim do not accept it. According to the opinion of Shimon Gamliel, they can't accept it. So in these three halachas, the halacha is not like Shimon Gamliel. We learned that if the husband said to his wife, "Here is your get," but the paper, which the get is written on his mind, the halacha is Eini Meguresha, she's not divorced. And he must give her the actual get in order for the divorce to take effect. Why? Because since the paper still belongs to him, it's as if he had given her only the writings. But if he said to her, if he said, "Here is the get, on condition that you return the paper to me," Allah is Muguresha, she is divorced. The get belongs entirely to her, and the returning of the paper is only after tonight and must be fulfilled later. So the Gemara asks, Sefer, what's the difference in the first case and what's the difference in the second case? In neither case does she have ownership of the get. So I'm Rav Chizr, because it says, Hamani, who is this? This is the opinion of Shimon Gamliel. The Amar who says, Titin Loi Estamel. Shimon Gamliel is the opinion who says that with regards to this coat, as we learned, she can give him the value and she doesn't actually have to give the actual coat in order to fulfill the Tanai. Hachanami, her too also, it's possible for her to appease him with money, and she may give him the value of the paper. Therefore, it's considered as though she received the paper. Maskalov Abaya asked to Shaila, Eimer Damar of Shimon Gamliel Hechadalesaveni. Say that Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says that it's acceptable to give the value of the item itself when the item is not, it's not here. But in the case where it's still around, in other words, the paper in this case, didn't Rabbi Shimon Gamliel say that giving the value is not enough? Salam Abaya says, Hamani, who is this Rameir? Opinion of the Mishnah is Rameir Damar being a Tanai Kafel, which we know Rameir holds that whenever you make a Tanai, you need to structure the Tanai in a Tanai Kafel, in a double Tanai. Meaning that the condition must mention that what will happen, that if you do the Tanai, good, and if you don't do the Tanai, then this will happen. That's called the Tanai Kafel. Kafel Tanai. And here, in this case, there was no Tanai. The husband said that this is your get, I'll Tanai that you return the paper to me. He did not make a Tanai Kafel, and since, according to Rameir, a Tanai Kafel doesn't work, so then it doesn't work. Maskal Rabba, so Rabba asked to Shaila, time to Kafel Tanai. According to Abaya, the reason why the get is valid is because he did not make a Tanai Kafel. Ho Kafel Tanai lo have a get, which Ramashma, if he would make a Tanai Kafel, then it would not be a get. Michti. Call Tanai Meichi Gamliel. Where do we know the idea of Tanai Kafel? Men Tanai God, or from the Tanai Day God, Tanai Reuven. As we know, is learned from the condition that Moshe Rabbeinu made with the Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven, that if they go and fight the battles of the Jewish people, then they will inherit the Eivelayitin, as they requested. But if they do not fight the battles with the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael, they will not inherit the land. So that was the Tanai Kafel. So the Gemara says, Mahos, and just as over there in the condition that Moshe made, Tanai Koidun Lamaisa over there, the condition was before the actual action. He first said the condition, and afterwards he described the result if they fulfill the condition. And you shall give them the land of Gilad as an inheritance. Av called Tanai Koidun Lamaisa, so to every Tanai, the Tanai has to be Koidun Lamaisa. Apuki Hocha, to exclude the case mentioned here, the Maisa Koidun Tanai, where the action of the giving of the get preceded the condition. So according to Rameir, the get will not be valid even if the husband had made a Tanai Kofel. Another Rabbi says, and who answered the condition does not apply and the woman is divorced. Why? Because the Maisa Koidun Tanai, because the action of the divorce preceded the actual condition. Maskul Rav Ada Barabo. So now Rav Ada Barabo asked a Shaila on this time of the Maisa Koidun Tanai. What's the reason why the get is considered a good get? Is because the Maisa came before the Tanai. Oh, Tanai Koidun Maisa, which would imply that if the Tanai came before the Maisa, they have a Gittin, then it would not be a get. Mifti, so he says like this, Kol Tanai Meish, I'm in the order, we know every Tanai Kofel, and the Tanai go to Bnei Reuben. So now, just like over there, Tanai B'Davar Echad, the Maisa B'Davar, just like over there, it's a condition with regards to one matter. In other words, that they should fight along with the rest of the Jewish people, and the result actions with regard to another action. In other words, that they would receive the land of Gilad. So too, every other condition must follow this pattern. Afuki Hocha, to exclude the case that Tanai Ma'asav Davar Echad, when the condition and the actions are the same matter. Rather, Rabbi said that the condition is bottled because the condition and the actions are about the same matter, and therefore the get is valid even without fulfilling on this condition. Rashi says, Mani, who is the opinion of the Brisa? Rebbe, this is Rebbe. The Ravuna says in the name of Rav, Manas, anybody who says, which we spoke about yesterday, the Machlekes. Anybody who says Almanas, anybody who says Almanas, it's like he says that from now, so the get is effective immediately, even if the woman will later be required to return the document itself to him. Ask Shmuel Begita the Shemida was regarding to the conditions the Tanai of the Shemina. Shmuel made a takana that im loimati lo yeget v'mati yeget. Shmuel made a takana in regards to the get of a person on his, if he's a Shemina. So if he uses the expressions that if I do not die, this will not be a good get. If I do die, then it will be considered a valid get. So now the Gemara asks about the wording used over here. Belema, why don't you say over here in the statement, you should use more of intuitive order. Imati get, if I will die, so then it will be considered a good get. But if I do not die, it will not be considered a good get. The Gemara says, the Gemara says a famous expression, a person does not quicken a puranis, a calamity upon himself. So he does not wish to mention his death first. So the Gemara asks, why does Shmuel use this phrase? Why does Shmuel use this phrase? Let us just say that Tanai using such a formula. If I will not be a get, it will not be a considered a good get if I do not die. And it will be a considered a good get if I do die. So my answer says, being the Tanai Kain Lamaisa, as we said before, that we always need a Tanai before the Maisa. But in this way, the Maisa will be before the Tanai. Maskal Rabba, so Rabba asked her Shaila, Michti, Kol Tanai Mechan, Gamrinam, Tanai God, Bnei God, Bnei Reuven. So the Gemara says a third time. Where do we know every Tanai Kofel? This is from Bnei God, Bnei Reuven. So Mahosam Hain Kaidin Lulav. Just like over there, the Hain, the positive was before the Lav. Af Kol Tanai Hain Kaidin Lulav. So the Lecher, every Tanai Kofel, the Hain needs to be before the Lav. But over here, the negative precedes the positive. Rabbi says that the Tanai in the get of the dying person should be worded in the following way. If I do not die, this will not be considered a get. However, if I do die, then it will be considered a good get. And if I do not die, this will not be considered a good get. And the Gemara explains the necessity for such, why you have to formulate the Tanai as follows. The husband first says, if I do not die, this will not be considered a good get. Why? Because a person does not hasten a calamity upon himself. Therefore, he first mentions the possibility that he will not die, and he states the Tanai Kofel in the following order. Im mati ye get, and le mati lo ye get. If I die, this will not be a get, and if I do not die, this will not be a good get. Minan hein kedin lemaisa, because you always need the positive before the negative. Now, a new Mishnah, the Mishnah, a husband says to his wife, this is your get on condition that you will serve my father. Or he says on condition that you will nurse, that you will breastfeed my son. And he doesn't specify a time how long this will be. So, how long is she required to nurse him? So, in order for her get to be chal, so she has to fulfill these conditions. But he didn't specify a time how long the breastfeeding needs to be. So the shaila is, how long is it? So the Tanakama says, shtei noshim, shtei shonim, this is at least for 2 years, which is the length of time generally designated for nursing. It's 18 months. If the baby's son died or the husband's father died, how does it get? This is considered a good get, even though the condition was not fulfilled. How does he get? The husband said to his wife, this is your get of condition that you will serve my father for 2 years. Or condition that you will nurse my son for 2 years. My son died before she nursed him for 2 years. Or the father said, or the father said, I do not want you to serve me. Even the father did not say in anger, and she did everything that was expected, and a get, it's not considered a good get because the condition was not fulfilled. Shimon Gamliel says, because that in such a case it's considered a good get. Shimon Gamliel says, a klal kol akova she'eni mena, any akova, any hindrance to the fulfillment of the condition that does not result from her, any get, this is not considered a get. So the Gemara asks, but do we require that she serve the father and nurse the son all this time that there was a Tanaya to Mini? I'm going to ask you a contradiction based on what was done on Braisa. Shimshata yem echad, if she served the father for 1 day, and ikata yem echad, or she nursed the son for 1 day, how does it get? It's considered a get. When a Chisda says, like Kasha the Braisa, it's not a question. Because the Braisa isn't according to the opinion of Rabbanan, Rav Shimon Gamliel, and the Mishnah is according to the opinion of Rav Shimon Gamliel, who disagreed with the previous Mishnah with regards to the coat that was lost. According to the opinion of the Chachamim, if there is no possibility that the wife can fulfill the condition by returning the coat as it was lost, the get is not valid. According to the opinion of Rav Shimon Gamliel, she can give the get, she can give the husband the coat's value, and the get is valid. The Gemara explains, the Mastis and Rav Shimon Gamliel, the Mishnah is according to the opinion of Rav Shimon Gamliel, who holds that the wife can give the husband the equivalent of the Tanai item to make the get valid, as the primary factor is receiving the benefit he intended when starting the condition. Therefore, she must nurse the child for the standard length of time, as that is the benefit he intended when starting the condition, or else the get is not a good get. Ubraisa, Rabbanon, and the Braisa is according to the Chachamim, will hold that the wife must fulfill the literal terms of the condition. If she nurses the baby even for 1 day or serves the father for a single day, the literal terms of the condition has been fulfilled. So, if you're saying that if the Sefer of this Mishnah is attributed to Rav Shimon Gamliel, so they should allow Rav Shimon Gamliel. It must be that the Reish in the Mishnah is not Rav Shimon Gamliel. Where it says the Braisa of Shimon Gamliel, the Mekel b'Tanai, and Mastis and Abban. Rather, the Braisa is according to the opinion of Shimon Gamliel, who's Mekel with regards to Tanai, and interprets it so it can be fulfilled. The Mishnah is according to the opinion of the Chachamim, who interpret the condition in a expanded manner. Rav Aramah says, no. Here in the Mishnah, where the husband spoke without specification, he did not set a time. The Chachamim assigned what they understand to be the standard time of the stipulated action. Like Kabbalah Mefarish, there in the Braisa is referring to where the husband said explicitly that she should perform the actions for only 1 day. Rashi says, any unspecified statement is also considered as though he explicitly said 1 day. Since the husband did not mention a specific amount of time at which to perform the action, 1 day should be enough. Tana, the Gemara not challenges Rashi's explanation. Tana, within the Rav Nakami, how long is she required to nurse him in order to fulfill the condition? 2 years of Vidah, according to the Rava, it makes sense that if the husband does not specify the length of time, he must nurse the baby for the generally accepted time. And Rashi, but according to Rashi, why does he have to nurse for 2 years? According to him, 1 day should be enough. This is what the Mishnah is saying according to the opinion of Rashi. How long is the wife required to nurse the baby? 1 day from within the 2 years of the baby's birth. To exclude the case where 1 day that she nursed and occurred after he was 2 years old, so delay. In that case, the husband's condition will not be fulfilled, or he accepted the length of time for a mother to nurse her baby. Or according to the Rabbi Yehuda, 1 day, from within the 18 days. Delay to exclude after 18 months that it won't work. Basically, that's the shaila to the opinion of Rashi. What did the Mishnah say? If he says that this is your divorce on condition that you will serve my father for 2 years, or that Mesa Ben on condition that you will nurse my son for 2 years, or the father said, or I don't want you to serve me even though he didn't do it out of anger. Ain't a get, it's not considered a get. So where it says that I involve Amid Aleph, Bishlim Lidovo, Bishlim Lidovo, for the parties. According to the Rabbi, it makes sense because the first case of the Mishnah is speaking about when the husband did not explicitly mention a period of time, and the later part is referring to when he did explicitly mention the period of time. Rashi, but according to the Rashi, holds but when the husband does not mention a period of time, the wife can fulfill her obligation by performing the action even for 1 day. Is it necessary to explain that the first case in the Mishnah is referring to when she did not fulfill the condition even for 1 day? Maishna Reisha, Maishna Seifa. So the answers and says, Taka Kasha, Taka A question.